Hello, my friends, and welcome back to a new episode of Dentistas Trotamundos, the podcast that will take you on a global journey through the fascinating world of dentistry. If you're a dentist looking to get licensed in the United States, this is the right podcast for you. I'm Dr. Bianca Charez-Ursua, also known as Dr. B Dentist, your host, and I'm happy to have you on board for this amazing adventure. Hello everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Dentistas Trotamundos. Today we're going to be interviewing Dr. Daltria Li, co-founder of the Associate Advantage. She's a general dentist that graduated from the University of Tennessee back in 2017, and after graduating dental school, she realized that everything was very difficult to navigate for new dentists and general dentists that were new to the field. So that's how they decided to found the Associate Advantage. We want to welcome her today to this new episode of Dentistas Trotamundos. Thanks again for joining us. As I always say, please follow us on Spotify. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Share this content with your friends. The best way to get to everybody is by you sharing it. So if you're in this journey of becoming a licensed dentist in the US, just like I did, or if you're planning on moving here, or if you're just, hearing for fun, make sure you share this with your friends so we can reach more people. Thank you so much, and let's start this episode. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yay! Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor to come on your podcast. I've been following you since we started the Associates Advantage. I've been following your account, and I love your content and everything about it. So my name is Daltria Li. I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee. I have lived here for 8 years, and I am an associate. I'm a general dentist. I am originally from Mississippi, and a funny thing about me is that I am very, very Southern. Very Southern. But my family, they are immigrants from Hong Kong. So sometimes when I start talking to patients and my Southern accent comes out, it's pretty funny. But born and raised here, my parents are immigrants, which is another reason why I absolutely love this podcast, because I am a first generation for my family and first dentist in the family as well. So just quickly, I went to UT in Memphis, which was close to my home, and I graduated in 2017.
I didn't know you were the first generation dentist in your family.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so
yes,
from experience how it is to struggle and navigate this whole world of becoming a dentist, especially when you don't have necessarily a direct family member that is a mentor. That's one of the main things that I also repeat all the time in this podcast, because it's been challenging for me just moving here to the US, working every day in my second language, coming from a family that nobody really had been in the U.S. or moved here before as a dentist, and just navigating the whole world of licensing. So can you tell us a little bit about what the Associate Advantage does and how this whole community that you've created online helps dentists and new grads navigate this whole world, whether it's as a new dentist, a first generation, or somebody who comes from a third, fourth generation of dentists in their families?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So the Associates Advantage was created while I was laying in bed. And I tell all of my clients, any new dentist or dental student, that these are my personal experiences and then research, as well as my best friend, Adam, who also graduated with me at UT. He also is the co-founder, and we talk every day, and we do vent to each other, or we also call each other and debrief the day, which is so great. If you don't have someone that you're debriefing with, I encourage you to find somebody. So we changed the word venting to debriefing. So I was laying in bed, and I was on my 7th job as an associate dentist. Wow. 7th. And I've had wonderful experiences with some. I've been let go by others for no reason. And I was in a place 2 years ago where, again, I was laying down just debriefing my day by myself. And I thought, wow, I feel like there could be more with dentistry. I am 7 years in, and I am unhappy with my job. And that's not where I thought I would be. I thought I would be somewhere else in my mind. I figured that I would have it figured out, and it's taken so much more from me. I knew I wouldn't be handed a silver platter of the perfect dental life, but it definitely had a lot of obstacles that I did not anticipate. So how the Associates Advantage started was that I was talking to my best friend Adam, and we just felt that new dentists and new graduates were so undereducated on what to do. Yes, what to do when you leave dental school. And Dr. B, we talked about how we are both go-getters, and that was me in dental school. I was the guinea pig. I'll take the boards first. Don't worry. I will do everything first. I will go and apply for the licensure first, and then everyone else would ask me. How we found out we needed fingerprints if you wanted to practice in Tennessee was because I tried to turn in my licensure and they needed fingerprints and 2 letters of recommendation. So those are tiny details that are just for Tennessee. And as many of you know, if you practice in the United States, each state varies on what they need from you. And for us, when we were at that last phase of dental school, we just wanted to finish, and we just wanted to be able to celebrate, wow, what an amazing 4 years that were so difficult and hard. And all we want to do is just maybe have a moment to chill. And it would have been nice if maybe there was a course or some professor that guided us and fed us little snacks and appetizers and breadcrumbs of what to do next. But instead, we finished that denture, we finished that final comp, and they said bye. And we were like, okay, so what next? And they had not gone through the process of becoming a dentist in over 40 years. Most of them have not. So we felt like we had to ask a lot of older colleagues, or again, it would be someone like me that would try it out first and get rejected, and then tell all my friends and classmates, hey, so that doesn't work, and this is what you need to do. So Adam and I created an online course that is very, very quick. We both don't have a very long attention span. So we knew we wanted to create an online course that was quick and easy. Most of our clients can get through it in 2 hours in a day. But if you wanted to split it up, we split it up into different courses. We go through how to manage your first paycheck, how to balance work life. And that's not easy. That's been probably the hardest one. We do give you tips on how to find your job, what to look for, what to watch out for. So that's basically the premise of what we've been up to.
And I think this should be part of the regular curriculum of dental school, because honestly, you think going through dental school is going to be the hardest thing you're going to do. And then you go into real life and you think that your employer has your best interest, or, is going to mentor you. And then you end up realizing that maybe that's not the case. And especially being a first generation dentist, you might not know who to turn towards or who to ask when it comes to trying to find out or figure out this answers to these questions. I remember before graduating, because as you know, I went to UConn, and I graduated in 2021, but I knew already that I was going to graduate. So I started looking for a job in early February, March. Also because I needed a visa in order to practice. So the visa lottery happens in March. So if you're an international dentist, you're familiar with this. But for the ones that are listening that are not, there's a process for international dentists that if you don't have a citizenship or permanent residency, you have to go through a lottery to get a visa in order to work anywhere. So the U.S. has a certain amount of numbers of visa that they give out every year, and it's literally a lottery, so you can be selected or not. And the employer has to sign you up. So you can't sign up yourself. Somebody has to hire you, and then they'll sign you up. So basically, you have a short time frame to find a job. And I started looking early because I didn't want to just pick whatever just because I needed to meet that deadline, that lottery deadline, right? Because the other option is waiting a whole year. So it's another year without working.
It's a long time. Yes.
Another year without working, or another year where I was going to have to go back to Chile, which was okay, but then my husband was here. So, we were going to have to be apart.
Right.
So I remember I sent an email to one of my very good friends from UConn, and I told her, I asked her, hey, because her dad had a practice in Connecticut, but we were not eligible for a license in Connecticut, so we couldn't work there. He was like, I'll happily hire you, but I couldn't get a license there. So I told her, hey, can I ask your dad a few questions? And I remember I wrote an email. And I said, hi, thank you so much, for first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to review my email, because he has lots of years of experience, right? And she's a third generation dentist in her family. So, they knew everything or most of it or a lot more than me.
Right.
And I was like so lost, and they were handing me a contract, and it would speak about like your minimal daily guarantee and your 401k.
So confusing.
If you quit and don't give us X amount of day notice, you're gonna have to pay this amount of money for the next whatever days until the day you quit. So the notice. So I was like, I wrote an email. I'm like, I have several questions. It was like a list of like 10 questions. Like, what is a 401k? What is a notice?
I was right there with you.
How much is a normal daily guarantee? Because that's another thing. Should I request a daily guarantee forever, or should I have that expire? Because some offices tell you that the daily guarantee is only going to be for X like amount of days or so. Sure. Yes. And he was like so sweet and so nice to kind of like answer all of my questions in a very like
kind.
With a very approach, Yeah, he was awesome. And I was like, thank you so much, because I really like, you can Google some things, but then you don't know how to price yourself, for your daily guarantee, because some people will offer a very low amount, and it's also going to, it's going to vary depending on where you are. So what I started doing, which, I mean, I wouldn't recommend, but I did this.
I can't wait to hear.
Don't do this, okay? But I did this. I would go on Indeed, which is this website for the ones that are not familiar with that. It's a website where you can look for jobs, right? But it's a very, I would say, like corporate. Yes. So it's very corporate. Right, corporate-like. So most corporations post their jobs here, but if you have a family dental practice that is looking for an associate, they're probably not going to post it there. They're going to post it somewhere else.
Yes.
So I went online onto this website in Indeed, and I started looking for jobs in different areas. It didn't really matter. I would just apply everywhere. And I will take calls with them.
That's not a bad strategy.
And then they would call me and be like, hey, doctor, are you looking for a job in Virginia? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for a job in Virginia. When are you going to graduate? Okay, I will take like the first interview, which by the way was with a recruiter. Okay, so it's very, very impersonal, and it's a person that you can tell through the phone that they work on sales. Because they will be
they're not a dentist usually.
Yeah, they're not a dentist. Yes. So one of the recruiters would call, and I would be like, yeah, what are your fees or your daily guarantees in this state? So then I would write them down and be like, okay, Florida is offering this much. Virginia is offering this much, and to kind of ballpark how much are you, because you don't know, like in dental school, you don't know.
Absolutely not.
And then most people have loans to pay, and you have to pay rent. Some people have family. In Chile, this is not that common because we go straight into dental school at 18, so you can graduate at.
That's wild.
Some people go. My husband went into dental school at 17, so he graduated at 23. He was already a dentist at 23.
Yes.
But here
I recently posted about that.
Yeah. In South America, you can go to school very young. It's wild, and because it's a huge responsibility, but at the same time here, because people graduate a little bit older, sometimes people already have family, so you have to provide for your family. There's a lot of going on. There's a lot of weight in your shoulders, and navigating this whole world of associateship is very challenging. And having the associate advantage, I think it's a huge asset for anybody that is graduating dental school. Like just having and being able, because at the end of the day, yes, this you have your business with the associate advantage, but also you're shedding some light into the new dentist, and it's a service for the new grads, and also for the international dentists. I don't know if you have a big community of international dentists I
think because of you, I have, and that's probably been one of the, if I did not, I think my mind always thinks like the butterfly effect. And so butterfly effect is, if I didn't do this, then this wouldn't have happened to me. And so one of the butterfly effects of the Associates Advantage is that I have been so grateful to have met some international dentists, and I've learned so much from you guys. It's so funny to hear for us in America that you start dental school at 16, 18.
Super young.
I was lining up at theaters to watch Twilight and the Hannah Montana movie, and you guys are learning biochemistry and human anatomy. I mean, we definitely have very different cultures and educational systems. And I actually don't know. I think I was so driven as a child, I would have preferred to go ahead and know I was doing dentistry instead of this stressful path of going through, because in a way you go through college or university and then you repeat it again. And I feel like it's hindsight's 2020. I'm so grateful for my life experiences, but also the driven child. I knew I wanted to be a dentist at 3 years old. Ask my parents. They will tell you I never strayed. I was a weirdo. And I just told them dentist, and they told me, you'll change that. and I never did. So for me, I would have wanted to start dental school at 16, 18 and just let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew I wanted
think
to
that
be
would
in
have
the
been
medical field when I was like 5 or 6. Like literally, like my sister
Sure.
would fall playing around, and my mom would be like, "Okay,
Dr.
come
B's
help
got
her."
you.
Yeah, come help her. And I was like literally 5, like
Sure.
putting a band-aid on her, you know,
Yes.
like kind of like on her foot or whatever. And then when I was in 7th grade, I knew I wanted to be a dentist. So also the
Amazing.
same thing. Like, you know how sometimes in 7th grade they're like, "Okay, anybody knows what they want to be when they grow up?" And I would be like the one they're like, "Me."
Hands very raised
The
up
only
high.
one, like that, like very high, so that they could see me. Like,
Someone's
what
like,
do you? Okay,
professional basketball player, dentist. Let's go.
You're the only
Let's
one.
start tomorrow.
you're the only one who knows. What do you want to be? I'm like, I
Absolutely.
want to be a dentist.
Right, right. I do want to say again the respect of you coming to America and getting thrown. I'm with you though. I also did not know what a 401k was. And that may be in part because my parents are immigrants and they did not understand the 401k system. So they never invested and they were just huge savers. They just physically saved and did not invest. And so investing in finances were so new to me. I didn't know what a brokerage account was before I actually became a dentist. I also, with contracts, when someone threw a contract at me, of course, I got run over with my first contract. I didn't even know how much money I was supposed to be making or what math I needed to calculate to pay off my loans and live a comfortable life. So those things, again, were never mentioned in dental school, which I stress over and over to our on our platform that educate yourself, take care of yourself first. No one is a better advocate for you as a dentist than yourself. So do the work now. And also, I'm an older dentist. I'm not geriatric, but I'm a millennial dentist.
Yeah, me too. Millennials.
And we did not have the outlets that you guys do now. You can be on Instagram and suddenly get a plethora of helpful information and just know that you have free access to being educated on what comes next. And I think that's very awesome for 2024, just to have people like you that have a podcast that you can listen to on your way to school, to work, and have insight on what to do in certain scenarios. But just circling back, things like contracts and insurances, how many people knew that you needed to sign up for disability? How important was that stressed? And that's a controversial topic, I believe, because some people still might not have it and it's very expensive.
I don't have it.
But sure. And that's, again, it's, you know, this is one thing that I do stress for the Associates Advantage is that I do not believe, and I mean this, I don't believe there's a wrong decision. I do believe that whatever you choose in your life is leading you to the right path. Now, some may think that's a little delusional, but I do believe that all is working out for you in a different way. So, but disability is very, very expensive. We encourage it. We do encourage it because it is a great thing to have if you ever were to have an accident and it saves you.
Yeah.
So we do that. But also, you know, there's other platforms on social media that will tell you to get a lawyer for a contract. I could not afford one when I got out.
Yeah.
I could not pay the fee.
So before we move
Yeah,
on,
sure.
I wanted to touch base a little bit on something very brief about contracts and just mostly from experience and from being an international dentist. So contracts are something that in Chile are not very common. So if you sign up with a large corporation or a public health service office, they'll have you sign a contract, but there's not much room for negotiation like there is here. So basically they put it on the table. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. And dentistry it's a little bit oversaturated or extremely oversaturated in some countries in South America. Yes, I'll speak about South America in particular because that's the continent that I know about. So dentistry is oversaturated in a way that most dentists don't really have a contract. So they don't really sign any paperwork when it comes to working anywhere. So basically you'll have a friend that has an office there, you work one day there, and you verbally discuss a percentage. Okay, that's how much you're going to pay me. Then you have another friend that works somewhere else. So kind of like you hop through several offices throughout your week, and you come
That's
up
what I do.
with a paycheck at the end of the month like that, right? But not all the offices will present a contract. So just the situation of presenting a contract and reading all the wordy kind of like legal terms that you might not fully understand when you're presented with a contract. Sometimes international dentists don't understand or don't see the bigger picture on how enforceable a contract can be in the United States, and how when you're signing a contract, you have to be very careful on what's written down there. Because here, contracts are enforceable. That's the message that I want to get through. And it's something that you have to pay attention to and look around and try to learn as much as you can with the abilities and the resources that you have. So it's great that you guys are doing this and that you're getting that information out there.
Yes, thank you.
And training people and coaching everybody and mentoring, because not everybody has a mentor, and sometimes people do, but if it's somebody older. So sometimes I talk to older people because I'm very involved in organized dentistry. So I do work a lot and talk a lot.
That's wonderful.
I love that. That's one of my other passions. And I do interact a lot with older people. And they're like, why are these young people like complaining about this or that? Or why are they not wanting to pay their memberships? And I'm like, well, because they have student loans. You went to dental school for free or for very cheap. And you didn't have loans.
$50,000.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. So boomers have a very different idea on what the economy is like.
They're so cute.
Yeah, stop buying coffee. What was it? Like the meme, stop buying Starbucks and avocado toast and you'll have money for your retirement. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. Like we literally
it makes me happy.
In order to retire comfortably for the millennial generation, I think we have to have like $2.4 million or $3 million in order to retire comfortably in the United States. Yes. There's some people that I've talked about this to my friends already. Like whenever we plan on retiring, we're like, maybe we should retire somewhere else. You know, like work here your whole life and then go retire in Europe or something, because it's just so unaffordable. Yeah, it's so challenging. So things have changed so much that you need a mentor that is up to date. So I know that their opinion is based on misinformation, so I still respect older colleagues that have these opinions. And it's very hard to change their minds because they get it. Yes. Do you want to share some experiences that you've had as an associate, like kind of like the best and worst experiences? Because you've been through, you've had some experiences.
Oh, yes. They're juicy. Yes. I was trying to count off in my head and I thought, okay, let's make sure I think it's 7. And I'm going to start with the best, and that's where I'm at right now. I love my boss. He sounds a lot like your experience with, was it your friend's father who was a dentist?
Yes.
Yes. So who I have as a boss right now is amazing. He is a mentor, but he won't call himself that because he planted so many seeds for me. He sends me to CE. He is my CE in the office. He walked through my first implant, my big cases, sedation. He is so helpful. He's always on my team. He is so giving and so gracious. I really could not have asked for a better employer. With that being said, I went through a lot of offices that were not fun. There is one that early on in the Associates Advantage, and I'm very transparent about my experiences, and I'm not here to talk bad about anybody. That's not my goal with the Associates Advantage. I'm talking about a bad experience and maybe where we didn't fit. So, and that happens a lot. And, I'm not the only one. I knew that, but I didn't know everybody pretty much felt the same way. We may have had 2 or 3 classmates that kept their first job out of 100, but Adam and I have rotated through a lot of offices. There was one office I went to that I would probably rank it as like mid-bad. It just hurt my feelings. I kept trying to find an extra office. I could never get 5 days a week. No one wanted me 5 days a week. And now I get it. At least in Nashville where I practice, no one really wants to see the dentist on a Friday. And I kept trying to fill in those Fridays to pay off my student loans. I walked out of dental school with $315,000, which I know is not the worst. I know you guys are graduating with 500 to 700 out in New York and California, so I can't even complain. But to me, that $315,000 was so much, and I knew I needed to hustle. So I kept trying to find Friday gigs to help out with that debt. And one office I went to after multiple interviews and working interviews, and we can get to that at some point, the controversy of working interviews.
Oh my God.
this dentist, and it's just one of those things, like girl to girl, if you've ever dated anybody and they're not sure about you, take the hint. They're trying to tell you something. Go. So as in dentistry, he wasn't sure about me. Not so much me as a dentist. He just wasn't sure he wanted an associate. But for some reason, the determination in me, I've just always been instilled with no rejection. I kept trying to convince this guy that you need me on Fridays and I'm a great dentist and I will help you out and I will relieve your burden. And so he gave me a daily rate, and this was almost like 5 years ago. And so daily rates were probably lower. It was like 500. I just took it with 30% of production, I believe. And I went there for 3 Fridays and surpassed that amount. So if you aren't familiar with daily rates and what bonuses you get after, if you go over the 500 a day, the percentage is what extra you can collect. And so I did that for 3 Fridays, and I was showing my worth, showing my value. And then one Friday I came in and everyone canceled on me. And so I sat there and I was like, oh man, my attitude towards dentistry is that I'm never going to force a patient to do anything. If dentistry doesn't have to be done, then don't do it. And stick to that, guys. It'll help you sleep better at night. I never do anything outside of what I'm comfortable with. You will get there financially. Don't put someone else's life for your benefit with money. So that day I didn't make money. I went under my daily rate. I didn't think it was a big deal. So the next Friday, I'm getting ready to go to work, and the office manager sends me a text message and tells me that I'm no longer needed. Looks like I didn't make my goal last Friday, and so we can't afford you. And if this happens again, we definitely can't afford that. So don't come today. And I was already on my way.
Oh my God.
And
such a terrible experience. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
That's like a middle one. So again, I've got some juicy ones. So then, my feelings are hurt, which I don't get my feelings hurt anymore. Please try me. So I sent a message and I just accepted it. And she told me, if you want to speak to the boss, let me know. And I sat there and I thought, really? He doesn't even want to say, hey, I'm sorry. Like, it was just through his office manager. And to be honest, the cowardly way out. And so I just was like, okay, that's fine. That's
Can I ask
fine.
something? Was this a corporate setting or more private practice? No.
Yeah, I actually have never
That makes it more juicy.
Yeah, I have not worked for corporate. Adam has been beat up by corporate. So I always knew that I would not survive in a DSO setting, but some of my friends have stayed there since day one and have loved it. It is a rare office that you have to find, that you fit the culture and you get the autonomy meaning you get to do what you want and they're good and kind to you. So, but probably my worst story would be, again, I just would not give up on the Fridays. And I also love public health. I did work for a public health clinic that I have all the best things to say about this clinic. And it was an hour and a half away from me with a time change. Mm-hmm. So I would wake up at 4 a.m., drive to this clinic, and then leave at 4 p.m. and get home. It was exhausting.
Were you crossing state borders?
No.
Which time
it
change?
was close to the Atlanta, Georgia line.
Okay.
So it was right on the time zone. I love that clinic so much. Yes, they just couldn't afford me and they were so sweet. I have no bad things to say about them. I love them. I love the patient base, but they were great. But I did love public health a lot. So I found another clinic that was also an hour away that would help me with my loans, and they offered me just Fridays. And when I got there, and I've been presented that this is a great thing for this city. It's very, very new. It is equipped with everything. There's a dentist that needs a lot of help. And basically, and this is on the Associates Advantage as well, on one of my reels. When I got there, the dentist was a recovering felon, meaning that he had been in trouble with the law, which, okay, again, I'm so trying not to prejudge anybody. I don't know his life story. I didn't ask too much, but I was like, okay, I got it. My stomach hurt. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, if your stomach hurts, run, okay?
Yeah.
Your body's trying to tell you something. I just kept hearing that voice in my head tell me to go, but I was like, public health, help people. They're wonderful. They need your help. The lobby was filled with 40 people. And I go back there and there was no dental cassettes. There was no material. The other dentist in there was 80 years old, and he was spending 3 hours with a patient. They just weren't, and assistants weren't there. It was a cuss word show.
Oh, no.
And so then I go to turn on the water to wash my hands, and it's brown. It's just brown. And I look at that and I said, I just put my hands in that. And so I peep down and I step on the pedal again, and it's brown. And I left and I never went back. But I
would have done the same thing. Oh my God.
I had spent 2 days there. That was my second clinical day. And she refused to pay me for the 2 days that I went. And I'd driven hours, a total of 4 hours to go. And stand up for yourselves, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that I needed to be compensated. I deserved that. We had a contract and she refused to pay me. And I did finally get my compensation, but I had to be very stern about the requirements because I did see patients. I tried to help them organize for 2 days, and I realized that there's something sinister maybe going on here. I should go, and I don't want to be associated with this. So I left.
Exactly. These are the things that you fear that in the future you're going to be sitting at home and somebody's going to knock on your door to do a documentary about the office. And you're like, oh yes, no,
oh yes.
I don't want to be associated with this.
Guys, I'm a crime junkie person. I do listen
Me
to
too.
Dateline. That's my, I knew I liked you. I looked up the article of what happened. Terrified. That was sealed the deal. I will not be coming back.
Oh my God, that's such a crazy, wild, terrifying experience.
Yes. But again, I say this every time to everyone that great associateships exist, great ones exist. You have to make sure that you looked for the things that you want, and also that there are some things that are non-negotiables, and one is someone that treats you right, to communication. And one that I do think is important, it could be, again, something that some disagree with me on, is as an associate, you need someone that is going to give you a consistent daily rate for a while until you can get on your feet. I do believe that.
So there's something I wanted to touch base on that regard, because I wanted to explain what getting paid on production actually is, because most of the times they will negotiate production with you, but it's actually what they call adjusted production. So basically you're walking into an office and you're going to get paid whatever the fees they negotiated with the insurance companies that they take. So you might think, okay, I'm going to do X amount of patients or X amount of procedures today to go over my daily guarantee, right? Because you want to meet that goal. So you have a X amount of money that is your daily guarantee. Let's say, as an example, let's use it as an example. Let's say $500 on a daily guarantee, which is low, okay? But just so that we have a set number. Yeah. You should be looking for something more around 800 or more.
Absolutely.
So let's say you have a 500 daily guarantee, for example, and then you say, okay, I have to do 5 procedures that are $100 in order to meet that daily guarantee, and everything above that, I will get paid on adjusted production. But the problem is that sometimes, depending on which fees this office negotiated, and it happens a lot with corporate, that they negotiate very low fees with insurance companies. So maybe you have a patient that has an insurance company that has a negotiated fee that they're going to pay, I don't know, $50 for a filling, for example. So you have to work on a lot more production and do a lot more procedures that day in order to meet that daily guarantee, right? And then sometimes when you're signing, they tell you, yeah, we're going to pay you on adjusted production, but you don't know what their negotiated fees are. So you can always ask those questions to the owner doctor and say, hey, I'm looking to work into this office. What are the fees that you have negotiated with your main insurances that you take? Which percentage of your patients is self-pay? Which percentage of your patients is this insurance company or this other insurance company? Show me your contracted fees with these insurances. So you have an idea on how much you're charging each of the insurances for the procedures that you're going to be doing, because sometimes they can be very low or sometimes they can be very high. Or they're going to try to tell you, yeah, most of our patients are PPO. For example, if there's a Medicaid PPO office, they're going to tell you, yeah, most of our patients are PPO, but then you notice that some PPOs pay even less than Medicaid for some procedures. So it can be very challenging because at the end of the day, that's where your paycheck is going to come from. So you want to know those things before jumping into a contract with a certain office.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. My office has moved towards completely fee for service, and that is goals. That is what you would want for your office. With the adjusted production, we encourage all associates and new dentists to make sure you check your production and all your hygiene, everything at the end of the day. I know that's annoying, but you have to do that to make sure the correct, especially if you're on a lot of insurances in your office, make sure that the correct allocations are going to you. I've been there before where everyone is just so busy. Either the claim doesn't get sent or it goes to the wrong provider, and that's money that you're losing. And if you don't catch that quickly, you can be like me in another office. Dr. B's like, oh my gosh, this poor girl. That's why I said I'm so tough now. I didn't know about this. I didn't know I can check my sheet, and I lost so much money due to wrong billing to a provider, as well as they weren't billed to insurance. And I kept wondering why I was working so hard and I wasn't making goal. And that was the reason. So check yourself.
Yeah, check it. And also for legal reasons too.
Yes. Absolutely.
Insurance companies can audit you, the board can audit you, and you want to make sure everything is written correctly. Right. You want to make sure they're billing things under your name that you actually did, and you don't want them to be billing anything that you didn't do under your name, for example,
Correct.
Or something that you did under a different provider. So, make sure you sign all your notes. I know that I see a lot of people that do not sign notes on their...
I know. Yes.
Make sure you sign your notes, because if you do not, those can be edited by anybody and it's hard
Correct.
To track.
Are you on Dentrix?
Yeah, I'm on Dentrix. So
yes,
I sign them.
The signature. Yes.
So that way nobody can modify it. And if they do, it's going to say who modified. So they can add an addendum and it will say who did that addendum. So make sure you're covering your back also, because you know how it is when it comes to audits and those things. It can be very, very challenging and scary to have things happen under your name in an office that are not really being done by you. And another thing that I wanted to touch base on, you mentioned that sometimes you could get help with loans from some certain public dentistry offices.
Sure.
Can you briefly explain what that is for the international people that may know that that's an option?
Yes. So I will circle back and tell you that I walked out of dental school. I was out of state. I had a small scholarship and I left with $315,000, and my student loan servicer is called Nelnet. There's another servicer, I think, called Great Lakes that some of my colleagues have, but they have renamed it. And one avenue that you can do to pay off your debt is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. B, but what I was told, and I loved the option of potentially having this, but it was just too hard to find, so I couldn't do it. But public health and dentistry, if you are with public health for 10 years, they will pay off your student loans, which is so great. And honestly, 10 years, I'm already on year 8. Like, it seems like a lot when you're in the moment, but I'm almost to 10 years. And if there was a great opportunity for me that wasn't almost an hour or two away, I would have hopped on that, because it's very rewarding, as well as you do get rewarded for having your student loans paid off. I met a wonderful dentist at a clear aligner conference last month, and he had reached his 10 years of public health and he was getting his loans paid off, and we just all started clapping for him, because he's a great guy, but he had just wrapped up his 10th year. So
and that's something that you negotiate when you negotiate your contract. So when would you recommend for new grads to start looking for a job?
Okay, sure. That's one of my favorite questions. So I say when you are a D1, D2, D3, D4, think about where you want to live first. D1, Daltria wanted to live in LA. Then D2, Daltria wanted to go to New York. And then D3, Daltria wanted to go to Denver. So do narrow that in. But my recommendation is when you start actually looking seriously and setting up interviews and making calls, no earlier than your D4 year. And why I say that is there is not a dentist that can guarantee you a spot for a year. I did do that once, and that was right when I got out of school, and it did not work out. It's just too long of a promise that's not what a dentist is thinking about all day long, is who is going to come and fill in my spot, unless, for example, it's somebody who's about to have a baby and really needs you, or, someone that's trying to retire and have you take over. For the most part, if this is an associateship with, it's someone that will be practicing with you, it's really hard to promise that they can give you something a year out. So start making the connections at the beginning of your D4 year, and around Christmas, let's ramp up, seeing if you can come shadow over your break and seeing if you can do more conversations with the office. Check out the office culture. You need to see if you like what this office provides as services. Like, are you interested in dentures? Dentures don't give me joy, Some people love offices. Like, you have to go and see if the people there and the procedures are things that you would want to invest in yourself as an associate. So we do encourage your D4 years when you start to really interview. Just make sure, again, those qualifications that will give you a good and happy associateship is what you're looking for.
And also, I would recommend to network from a very early stage of your dental school. I know sometimes we're kind of like blinded by everything that we need to study and boards and everything that you need to go through and do during dental school. But definitely networking and going to events, whether it's C events or the dental society events, anything that you can go to where you're going to meet other dentists. And when you go, make sure you meet other dentists. So don't go there and just hang out with your co-residents or with your friends.
Absolutely.
Just make sure you start growing your network slowly, because that's going to find you jobs at the end of the day. Those people are going to recommend you. Because if nobody knows you, it's going to be hard to find a job. But if you have somebody that can recommend you, even though maybe you don't have the skills yet and you're still kind of like a work in progress as a dental student, if people trust you as a person, they will recommend you for jobs.
Yes. And another great avenue of meeting other dentists. You never know what connection. So great point, Dr. B, that you can make that will lead you to a job. Go to community outreaches. You can get experience under the supervision of a dentist and that's how I met so many dentists in my area, was through public health outreaches. They'd have a free dental day supervised by dentists. And it's a great way to learn dentistry through the eyes of someone who's done it for a long time and make those connections.
Yes, for sure. I've also met a lot of people that way. So do you want to compare a little bit of what's the difference between working for a DSO and what a DSO is versus a private practice? So that people can know?
Yes. So DSO is your dental support organizations. And you may be familiar with Aspen Dental, Pacific, Heartland. Those are a few to name. When I was interviewing for offices, I did interview with them. I interviewed with Pacific and I interviewed with, they rebranded, but Marquee. And I think they're wonderful. Again, for the right person, they can be great. I think a lot of dentists, I was scared of them. I knew that they felt like corporate sharks, but they do have great benefits for you. And if you are not finding your perfect fit, I don't see a problem in going to work with a DSO. One of my classmates did that and he is still there year 8. He's their main dentist. I have 2 classmates that have done that. They have worked for Heartland and really enjoyed it. So some pros to a DSO is that they may give you a sign-on bonus. We're all so poor when we leave dental school, and they can help you out with a sign-on bonus to help move you or help pay off a little bit of debt or help you out in some way that a private practice cannot offer you. No private practice has tried to offer me a sign-on bonus. There are wonderful benefits that come with a DSO, probably more than private practice. Again, it's just a bigger practice with probably more monetary funds. Downsides is that there may be less autonomy, meaning that you may not be able to do exactly what you want, like a private practice could offer. And there can be high turnover in those offices, meaning that staff come and go, dentists come and go. And as a dentist, hearing it from my friends and colleagues have gone down this route.
Yeah, and also I'm going to give a perspective of a smaller town because I do live in a small town. And a DSO, like big corporations, are going to be very profit driven. So there's not much of a patient driven service. It's more of like whatever the insurance pays for, they will encourage to do more of that. And then they'll try to push you with the numbers a lot in a DSO. On the other hand, private practices, at least in smaller towns that are fee for service, so that they don't take any insurance company and the patient just pays out of pocket whatever services they're getting, are very patient oriented. So whether it's the relationship with the patient, doing what's best for the patient, and making sure that everything that is done correctly so it lasts long. You don't feel that pressure of being 100% profit driven. So it's not like numbers, like they'll push you a lot with the numbers in the DSO, which is okay for some people, and some people can't handle that pressure. Some other people are more patient oriented and they value more the time with the patient, that relationship with the patient that they can establish. So depending on also what you're looking for, one or the other can be a better option for you. Another thing that is positive about the DSOs is that because it's a larger corporation, there's going to be a lot more events where you're going to meet a lot of people. So you're not going to feel that as isolated as a dentist.
Right.
Or to maybe a private practice. So sometimes people are looking for, working, but also kind of like having fun, being in an environment where there's going to be a lot of events and young people, which you're probably not going to find in a fee-for-service where you're taking over a dentist that is retiring, right? So
Correct.
also, that's another thing to keep in mind. What is it that you're looking for?
Exactly. Yes.
On a job,
and also
right?
CEs in the beginning are very important, and DSOs can really set you up with some great CEs.
For the people that don't know what a CE is a continuing education course that you're required to take in order to maintain your license in the United States. So every state will have a certain amount of hours that you have to take of continuing education to be able to keep up your license active. So it's mandatory, and also people really want to take CE because that's the way that you learn after dental school. So once you're out of school, if you're not planning on going into residency, CE is your way to go to continue to learn and grow as a professional.
And it can get very expensive.
Oh,
very
yeah,
expensive.
it can be
For
very
quality.
expensive.
Ooh,
Yes.
yes.
So which red flags would you recommend to look out for when looking into a job?
Sure. So communication. You have to have a communicator, someone that directly talks to you. And it's okay if the office manager is the main source, but it really does mean more when the main person is who is contacting you or letting you know that you're wanted and valued and needed. Because I've done this a few times before, talking through the middleman, which I get there's a purpose for that, probably for logistics, legal reasons, and just for the sake of efficiency. But from my personal experience, my current employer really put it out there that I was valued and needed and really listened to me. So you want a communicator and someone who listens to you. This one might be harder to pick up a first few visits is office culture. Does everyone get along? Is there a good camaraderie, meaning that there's is professionalism and respect amongst your work environment? Because I feel like I've been saying this all morning long, but I've seen all the offices, and there can be offices where there's a lot of drama, and that's not what you want to work in.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. And so, yes. So, you do want to look for a space that is very professional, low turnover. I ask very simple questions like, how long have you been here? Do you enjoy working here? And that's a great way to get those answers there. One of my really, really good friends that I've met through the Associates Advantage, and her Instagram handles the Forever Associate Dentist, if anyone's seen that.
I think I follow her.
Oh, she's wonderful. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. And we both do agree that you need, at least for a while, you need a daily guarantee that doesn't expire in 90 days. One, to show that, again, you're wanted, and for you to internally feel gratefulness and want to show the office that, you're earning your place as well. But it's helpful, and it just shows, in my opinion, gratitude that the office wants you and cares about you. Instead of like, here's your deadline and I'm cutting you loose right here. That's hard. And then your mind, especially if you're a new dentist, is automatically, instead of what's best for the patient, you may hop to, oh my gosh, this is a dog eat dog world. I have to feed myself and my family. And that's not a good mindset to go into, but that can happen if you cut off a daily rate quickly.
I also agree that the daily guarantees should be forever.
Daily guarantee. Yes.
I think there shouldn't be a deadline, and I think that's a way for you and as an associate to know that your owner dentist is always going to be marketing the office, looking for patients, bringing business, because you're there. You get a cut from what you're doing, which can range, let's say 35%-ish, can be higher or lower than that. And that other 65 or 70% that the other person is taking should be invested. Yes, it's going to be profit for them, but it should also be invested in having good quality staff, trained staff, CE, marketing strategies, bringing new patients, bringing business. Because at the end of the day, that's why they're the owner and you're the associate. You should be walking in, doing the dentistry, and then the other person should be taking that 70% cut out of your production to invest in everything else that keeps the business running.
Amen. Unpopular opinion. When I first started, I thought I need to impress my boss and I need to prove my worth. Actually, multiple jobs in, they need to show me that they want me, and then I'll stay. And it's better for everybody. They're not constantly looking for somebody stressed out, looking for someone that's going to stay loyal and help out for the good of the office. It's me and show me that I'm wanted and I will pour out more on my end. So yes, I do think that in the beginning, definitely show that you want to be there, but you don't have to overdo anything if you feel like that person, the employer is not invested. Like you have to you have to really listen to your body. Remember, stomach aches.
Yeah, because you're also investing a lot of time and, effort in this office. So you're helping this business grow. So you want to make sure you're on the same page with the owner. And sometimes finding a good fit can be challenging. What are your thoughts on working interviews?
I've done one, and I did an occlusal, and it was chill, and I was excited. The office I had just left only used me as an assistant, and it was like very demoralizing. I guess that's the word, because I wasn't allowed to drill, and the dentist just wanted to see how I restored, and so I was excited just to do an occlusal. Now, am I going to do a full mouth extraction? No. Definitely feel it out. There's a lot of stern opinions out there that will tell you don't do a working interview, but another one of my colleagues and I will say that we had to. We didn't have a choice. We will do we have a limit. We'll do one filling, and we're not doing a whole day. We'll show you one restoration and checking maybe hygiene together with you. And of course, it's under the supervision of the dentist. He's with me. I'm not by myself. If you're left alone and you're doing a full quadrant of class 2s, or if the boss says peace out. I've heard someone say that before. The boss is like, peace out, this is your working interview day. No.
And they're not even there to see what you're doing or how you're doing it.
Right. It's just like, are you getting a free day? And there's, I've only done one working interview, and I worked for that place for a while, and they were very kind. We just didn't work out in the end. But
do you get paid for working interviews, correct? Yes.
I did not. My one working interview, and it was like one procedure. So, but there are dentists that reach out to us and tell us that they were paid for the day, or some of them were told they were getting paid for the day and never got paid.
I mean, even our dental assistants get paid for a working interview for the hours that they spend there. So I think everybody should get paid for a working interview. That's just my opinion. I haven't done one.
I agree.
I think it's a fine line too, because they want to see how you work, but there's also... So the way I see it, I'm just going to lay it out the way I see it. You're free to do it or not do it. But my first thing is malpractice insurance. So you're not hired at that office. You have to check how your malpractice insurance works. Right. Depending on whether or not you're going to be covered for anything that may arise from that procedure that you did. Second, you're not doing the notes. So who's writing down? Because you don't have a user there, right? Who's writing down what you did, how you did it, and everything else. Third, if the owner dentist is not there, it's sketchy. Because if they're wanting to see how you work or how you approach the patient and how you explain things and they're not there, it's kind of weird. Also, red flag for me. And then also, yes, it depends on the procedures, of course, as you said. If somebody's expecting you to do a full mouth extraction on a patient that you just walked in and met right there, also it's something that somebody else diagnosed. In general, I don't feel comfortable treating anybody that I didn't diagnose. So when I first started the job that I have right now, I would just redo the comprehensive exam for every patient, which was such a waste for me. But I wouldn't feel comfortable just jumping into doing a filling into somebody that I didn't diagnose. So I will literally sit down. I'm like, I know you're not going to you just had your comprehensive exam like 2 weeks ago by this provider. I'm just going to review everything and kind of like reassess, and we'll go from there. Because it's just so, I don't know, it's just weird for me to jump into a room and do something that I didn't diagnose.
It's awkward.
Sometimes the criteria can be different. There's a lot of dentists that are very good at picking up the drill and just drilling their life away, every staining, every groove, everything. And I don't have that approach. I'm more of on the conservative end, and I also explain that to my patients. The less that I can pick up the drill, the better for me. because there's nothing better, in my opinion, than healthy tooth structure. Of course, when there's needed, we have to do it. But if I can do the SDF or a remineralization therapy and use the toothpaste with a higher amount of fluoride, I will kind of like lean more towards that. So, you know, I wouldn't feel comfortable going into an office. Maybe the owner doctor has a different criteria. And then she'll be like, hey, do this filling. I'm like, I wouldn't open that. You know, like, it's just, I don't know. It's a weird situation that.
Right. And the extraction stresses me out.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
You know,
yes.
To this day, like I can either pull out a tooth in 1 minute or less, or I'm in there for 3 hours sweating because a root tip won't come out. Okay, not 3 hours, but it feels like an eternity.
Yeah, it feels.
If that
was
my working interview, I would probably fail.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, I feel like when it comes to hiring a new dentist, you're not gonna see how good of a dentist they are in one procedure.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know. I know that
I try not to go there with they seem a little sketchy. My mind goes to malpractice, and I'm like, okay, but what if this person wants to come find me? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And also, I know that Dental Nachos, if you're not familiar with them, they're the doctor that has an Instagram account called Dental Nachos. They have a lot of horror stories about working interviews and several things.
Yes, that's where I've seen most of them.
So whenever I see them, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Paul always gets those. He's like, this person had like a full-blown day of dentistry as a working interview. I'm like, what? Who's agreeing to this?
Anonymous providers sent this, and there's a horror story.
Right? So bad.
So do you want to name some valuable insights that you can share from being an associate instead of an owner or a dentist?
Yes. I go home and I don't think about anything. I am watching my crime show and I am laying with my dog. It is great. Yes. The responsibility load is much less. And fortunately for my circumstances, I have a mentor that is also my boss. And so more complex cases, and he's a fantastic dentist, if I'm not comfortable, I'll either get guidance from him or I can actually give it to him. So that's just the benefit of being an associate. It truly is just a simple answer of low responsibility at the end of the day, is that you are able to walk, if you can shut that off in your mind. You don't have the pressure of overhead, fire hire, something's leaking. And my goodness, our poor CERAC mill has broken so many times after an update. Anyone else? That has been the bane of our existence this month, but I don't really take that home. But I know that he has to make the call for someone to come back out, and that's an extra fee. Just little things like that. To be an owner, you really have to want the desire to. Again, there's so many benefits to being either or. No wrong answer. For me, I will always be an associate. I don't want to own. That's not in my body or my mind to ever want to do that. I love working for somebody. Adam is about to open his own practice, and he wants to be the leader. He wants to give the directions. He has a vision, and I'm someone that wants to align with the vision, and I will do what's in line with the vision I agree with, and he wants to create one. So that's a great distinction there.
Yeah, some people have that eagerness to kind of like do a startup or, you know, like start something and be the directors of the whole practice. But some other people, you know, just you don't have to if you don't want to. I think that is, you have to do what feels right for you, and both options are totally valid. And then, you know, some people sometimes explore. I've seen dentists that are owners for a while and then they end up selling to a DSO, and the DSO would take over, and they'll just happy being associate until they retire. And some other people are just eager to open their own practices, and they open 1, 2, 3, 4, and even more. And that's awesome too. So it's whatever feels more comfortable for you and the best fit for you, right?
Yes. I would love to just be an associate and I'm full time. I think I mentioned that before. I think I had someone ask me if Associates Advantage was now my full time. I'd be on the streets. But it is my passion project right now, and there's so much wealth and benefit from the Associates Advantage. But my goal would be to do this and be an associate, because I don't ever want to stop doing dentistry. I do love it when I get in. I love class 2s. I know, weirdo. I love class 2s. That's an unpopular opinion, and so I want to always be able to do those things.
And it's also always nice to have a mentor. I feel like that's one of the things that I lack a lot where am I right now, because I'm in a solo office. It's a smaller DSO corporate dentistry, and sometimes I wish I had somebody who could guide me through new procedures. So I've kind of like I've been here for almost 3 years now.
Oh wow.
And
Congrats.
thank you. And I'm at a point where, yes, I would love to learn new things. Like, I've mastered what I know, so I'm very good at doing the procedures that I already do, but there's not much room for growing. And I feel like when you're an associate, there's always room for growth. Because you can always kind of like have a different day in another office, or you have more time to take courses and learn new things in dentistry. When you're an owner, you have to learn more about like the business aspect and human resources and how to manage your stuff and finances and law and
That's
everything.
a great point.
Everything that comes with owning versus as an associate, you can always keep growing as a dentist, as a clinician, and some people are really eager to learn more as a clinician and to grow as a clinician.
Yes.
I think
An
for
owner
now
does have to be a business person. Yeah,
exactly.
You're right.
Yeah. So do you see yourself forever being an associate then?
What's that?
Do you see yourself being an associate forever?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I love just, being low responsibility. I don't have I have business concepts in my mind, but I don't want to be the one that directs the business decisions.
I see myself probably in the next 5 years, I would like to continue to grow as a clinician. But after that, I'm very interested in eventually owning. I really like the business communications. I love, that's why I also have a podcast. I love communications, networking. Like I see all see that they do the summit or when they do like whole dentistry course, which is like tailored toward owning and not so much towards the dentistry aspect or the clinical aspect. So, for the next, maybe in 10 years, I'll be more on that side. But for now, I'll stick to the clinician part.
You're going to be fantastic at whatever you do.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to leave any last message or any last experience to our audience? Thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome to discuss everything with you. I'm sure the new dentists and international dentists are going to benefit so much from the whole associate advantage theme and everything that you're talking about. Everything is just something that I insist it should be part of the regular curriculum of dental school.
So we're trying. We do also, if you're a dental school and you want us to present a seminar over the internet, we do Zooms, Google Chats, whatever. We can provide that for you. Just give us your contact information in our DMs and we can get that set up. We've done NYU and we've done USC. So just let us know. We can do it anytime. We've done it for California recently and it was almost my bedtime, but we did a lecture. And as much as this is our Associates Advantage, our learning platform, this is yours as well. And I mean that for everybody. It's your stories just as much as mine. So please contribute, see what you can do to help the next generation, which is what we're trying to do for you right now.
Exactly. So, we need to work on ourselves, but also kind of like continue to pave the way for the new dentists that are graduating, because I know it's coming. What's coming for the future in dentistry, we're facing a shortage of workforce in general for dental assistants, for hygienists, and a little bit of an oversaturation of dentists in the market for the next 10 years. So we definitely need to work together and stay organized. As you know, I'm a passionate member of organized dentistry. So we have to, keep it up for the ones that are coming after it and for our future too.
That's right. You got to take care of the younger ones.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I absolutely adore you. And I just wanted to say thank you because I am a big fan.
Thank you. Once again, I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of Dentistas Trotamundos. Make sure you follow us, check our latest content, turn on your notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye!